Hello everybody, welcome to the Wonky Angle where I talk about electronic music, both new and old. And today I'm talking about the fourth album from David Guetta, One Love. My memories of 2009 and 2010 are a little fuzzy, but a lot of people tell me that was a pretty bad time for pop music. Everything was loud and obnoxious, usually outwardly stupid. It was the age of the Black Eyed Peas. Now, what I do remember of that time, was the Black Eyed Peas. Specifically, their music being played in gym class all the time, and a lot of similar stuff. Back then I was in middle school, though, so my thoughts on pop music were usually along the lines of, boy, people really like that one song about Superman, don't they? I do also vividly remember I Got a Feeling. And it's really not because I thought the song was terrible. No, actually it was because I liked it. It was being played all around me, all the time, for over a year, and somehow it got better almost every time I heard it. Heck, the Black Eyed Peas in general have been a long-time guilty pleasure of mine, even to this day, because they remind me of when I was in middle school. Now, some of you may be wondering why I've started out this video talking about my nostalgia for the Black Eyed Peas, and well, it's because David Guetta produced I Got a Feeling. Yeah, when I got into college and found out this terrible artist that was giving my favorite genre a bad name was also responsible for basically the anthem to my middle school days, I'll admit I was kinda taken aback. And with that, I'm going to have to admit that sense of nostalgia also ended up with my kinda enjoying Guetta's fourth album here a lot more than I probably should have. I'd be lying if I said One Love was a good album. In fact, in a lot of ways, it's much worse than Pop Life. See, Pop Life is an album that was just mainly kinda tedious and nondescript, with a couple of choice moments that were outwardly stupid and or difficult to listen to, hence how after 9 minutes of ranting, my review unsatisfyingly ended with a 4.5 out of 10. But One Love is much more outwardly brainless than Pop Life. There are actually many, many more stupid moments, and they stick out a lot more, many of them courtesy of Guetta himself. Speaking of which, this is Guetta's first album to not involve Joachim Garraud anymore. Garraud instead got replaced by a bunch of other, probably studio hacks that you've never heard of, like Sandy V, Jean-Claude Sindres, and Frederick Rister. Still not one song without a second production credit, including I Got a Feeling, of course, but I digress. But perhaps the stupidest thing of all is that I actually did enjoy One Love. Oh, I don't respect it. I think it's objectively really badly made, and there's no hint of self-awareness the entire time. But this time around, the average stupid level is so ridiculously high that it leads to several songs being unintentionally hilarious. And I'll be honest, there's even a tiny selection of actually unironically decent songs here too. Of course, enjoyment most likely depends on your ability to stomach late 2000s club pop, and I'm able to take it thanks to my above-mentioned nostalgia for this period. But if you don't like this kind of stuff, then maybe it's a better idea to stay away. Like I said, a good amount of my enjoyment of this album is in a condescending fashion. Just me finding the sheer stupidity of the album to be hilarious. So, I don't know if I can honestly count that in One Love's favor, but I don't know. Well, let's discuss individual tracks. Once again, the version I will be referring to in this review is the Continuous Mix, or the second disc of the Deluxe Edition on iTunes. I'll first say this about the mix: it's definitely a step up from Pop Life. Guetta at least bothers to use transitions on every song, but yeah, there's nothing else to discuss in that department. It's not outstanding or anything. Serviceable though. Anyway, the album begins with When Love Takes Over, which is actually not that bad. I mean, it steals the piano riff from Clocks by Coldplay, but Kelly Rowland at least sounds like she's having a good time. It actually sounds like a pretty awesome club pop track at first. That is, until the drop hits and completely crashes the mood. Like, the build-up sounds like this, when love takes over, and the drop sounds like this. That, by the way, is a recurring pattern with this album. When Love Takes Over's drop is jarring as hell, and one of the many stupid moments that just kinda catches me off guard and makes me laugh. But first of all, that's exclusive to the continuous mix version, and second of all, that's not even the worst example on this album. For instance, Guetta included a remix of I Got a Feeling on this album, because of course he did, called the FMIF remix. By the way, in case you were wondering, FMIF stands for Fuck Me, I'm Famous, the name of a series of compilations / DJ sets he used to do on a regular basis. Fuck me, I'm famous. Yes, Guetta, you're famous, and also fuck you. But back to this remix. I mean, it starts out like how you probably remember, but the drop, like, it sounds like it's making fun of you or something, comes out of nowhere, sounds so silly, I can't help but giggle whenever it starts. Same with Getting Over with Chris Willis, and worst of all, Missing You featuring Novel. This one the most hilariously jarring of them all. Well, not all the stupid moments on this album are like directly Guetta's fault. The most famous example, or the most fuck you, you're famous example, would have to be the big smash hit off this album, Sexy Bitch featuring Akon. This one barely needs explaining, honestly. Akon sees a girl in the club who he thinks is amazing, or can compare to your neighborhood hoe. He, in his own words, tries to find the words to describe this girl without being disrespectful, and after putting so much thought into it, he spits out, "Damn, who's a sexy bitch?" in basically the slimiest and grossest voice you could possibly make. Smooth! I swear to God, you'd think this song was a joke, but there's absolutely no sense of self-awareness. Guetta doesn't even have one of those stupidly jarring drops to match the lyrics. The beat is just kinda plain and there to keep up the mix or something. I'm just blown away by how Guetta must have thought this was a good idea, or that even the casual listener that doesn't listen to lyrics wouldn't notice. I usually don't listen to lyrics, and even I noticed this. For crying out loud. But I can't really get mad at this song. It's just so completely unaware of how stupid it is that it's just kinda hilariously pathetic. And then there's the tracks with actual Black Eyed Peas members. First we get I Wanna Go Crazy with will.i.am. This song is about how will.i.am wants to take a girl all around the world and spaz about like an idiot, basically. Also, for some reason, he refers to the girl as the crazy one. Like to the point of partying so hard you kill yourself crazy. In his own words, suicide girl. Sure sounds like a fun time, huh, will.i.am? And yeah, the beat is really industrial and lacking in melody, and will.i.am's voice gets really ridiculous in some parts. I wanna go! It's so weird hearing him without some kind of filter on his voice, I gotta say. Now, you thought that was stupid, though. Well, guess what? There's another song with will.i.am that's even stupider, and that's On the Dance Floor. This song also has Peas member Apple Diap on it. And yeah, this song's not really about anything except how awesome they are on the dance floor. Specifically that they have that fire, 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 fire on the dance floor. Oh, and this song actually does have one of Guetta's stupid drops too, and everything culminates in this amazing bar from will.i.am.
Get over for the dance floor. The G to U, the T to T to A.
Whoops. There's a lot of competition for stupidest moment on this album, but that's gotta be up there. Unfortunately, after the track Getting Over, we get into a less interesting stretch of the album. Chris Willis appears on a good handful of tracks, and he's kind of disappointing here. He doesn't sound nearly as into it as he did in the early days of Guetta, and he's just kind of going through the motions at this point. I mean, he doesn't sound completely checked out, but he just isn't even close to as fun as he was back in the Just a Little More Love days. He's best on Getting Over, but even then, like, on the standard edition of the album, he has to share the stage with Fergie and LMFAO, the latter of which make the already jarring drop sound a million times stupider. While admittedly this should strike the same chord of unintentional stupidity as on the dance floor, I don't know, LMFAO, I've always despised LMFAO because they've always felt like they were trying to be stupid on purpose. And that's just not funny. will.i.am having no idea how stupid he sounds as he brags about how awesome he is kind of funny. But LMFAO, no, I cannot get behind that. But the continuous mix version thankfully does not have LMFAO on it, and the drop not being on the same planet as Willis is funny enough on its own. But unfortunately, there are still other songs that just don't sound that great without having that much funny or interesting about it. None of them are quite at, like, Joan of Arc levels of ear-bleedingly terrible, but the closest I suppose we get is Choose, which at least has a melody, unlike Joan of Arc, but gets gratingly repetitive really quickly. And It's the Way You Love Me and I Need You Now come off to me as like the female singer versions of Every Time We Touch on Pop Life, being kind of dark sounding for no good reason at all. But on the other side of the coin, there's also two songs on this album that may not be interesting, but at least have the decency to sound good, being the title track One Love and How Soon Is Now. The former has a little bit of a blues gospel edge to it, and singer Estelle actually kinda has passion in her voice. And honestly, I think I actually do really unironically like it. Same with the more old-school 90s rave of How Soon Is Now, which, believe it or not, involves Sebastian Ingrosso from Swedish House Mafia, and somehow doesn't sound like marginalized crap. So yeah, those two songs are, like, actually pretty good. Oh, and I guess I don't mind the single with Kid Cudi, Memories. It's not like the most amazing thing ever, and neither are One Love or How Soon Is Now, but, I mean, they don't work against the album. Finally, though, I guess that leaves the ending to talk about. Guetta, in all his infinite wisdom, of course decided to end the album with one of the worst songs. Toy Friend. About how singer Winter Gordon, in her own words, wants to keep you in her closet and take you out occasionally to play with you. I don't know, like, the toy metaphor is stupid enough, but the line about keeping you in the closet makes things a little creepy. And did I mention that this is the ending? Like, that's perfect placement if I ever saw it. Put in the middle somewhere and it's uncomfortable and forgettable, but closing out with it makes for yet another over-the-top stupid decision on Guetta's part that I just have to chuckle at. God, Guetta, what were you thinking? Alright, you weren't in the first place. But yeah, I guess that's it. So what do I think of One Love overall? Well, I certainly don't think it's good. It's a wild roller coaster of quality, ranging from actually pretty good, to so bad it's good, to facepalm worthy, to mildly decent, to just mediocre, all without any hint of self-awareness, thinking it's just stupid fun the whole time, but with way too many distractingly stupid artistic decisions, usually purely on Guetta's part. But the funny thing is, I think I actually kind of recommend checking it out, at least once. It's a complete train wreck, but there's at least entertainment to be found in watching the whole thing derail and explode and unexplode and go sideways, and what the fuck, trains can't go sideways, someone seriously screwed up in the CGI department. One Love is terrible and shows Guetta to be the grossly incompetent producer and album curator that he is, but at least it's not boring. I'll give Guetta credit for this. One Love was at least really fun for me to review. So, overall, got a ton of conflicting feelings on this album, so I guess everything cancels out to a straight average, 6 out of 10? But it doesn't feel right to give a rating that high to an album I respect so little, so I'm gonna go with 5.7 out of 10. But of course, this is just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree with it. But I would like to hear your thoughts, so leave the comments in the comment thing down there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all for today. See you next time.
This is